What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Some commentary. Do me a favor. Take a moment. Hit the like button, subscribe button, criticism in the comment section. Obviously, Casey Steinman joining with me talk about the 24th annual New Hampshire 300. After about a 3-week bye where we took off, we promise we are going to get back to the grindstone and get these out before the race. So first of all, when you think about New Hampshire, first thing that really comes to my mind, we've lost a lot of drivers up there, but also the fact that it's a very difficult track. It's a flat track, a finesse track, a track where horsepower means a lot, and traditionally a track that's been difficult to rookie drivers, younger drivers.
Yeah, and this week, I want to look at the trends of the race as well as the driver trends. We typically just talk about the drivers, and this week the track, like you said, it's going to be kind of an uneventful race, not a lot of passing. But as far as the race itself, history tells us we can expect somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 cautions running upwards of 40 to 50 laps under yellow. I mean, that's almost a sixth of the race. So that also tells me that pit road strategy is going to play a bigger role on Sunday. The other thing that stands out to me this week is a list of drivers that have top 5 finishes in this race over the past 10 years. So I'll be basing my top 3 drivers to watch based on that data, as well as the qualifying order from yesterday.
The drivers that I really look to do well this week are Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. They've both done well there in the past. Brad Keselowski seems to really have a pretty good streak going, ran well in the nationwide race earlier today. Denny Hamlin, I think the Toyotas, the Gibbs cars have ran really well. Denny Hamlin has been one of the exceptions there, not continually running as well as, maybe you see Carl Edwards or maybe we've seen Matt Kenseth, but I think this is a really good track that he's always ran well at and a good time for him to turn his season around a little bit and maybe finally get that breakthrough win.
Yeah, I agree. Denny Hamlin should be in the conversation later in the race on Sunday. But my top 3 drivers this week are all past champions in New Hampshire. And I'm going to go with the pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson, as my pick to win this week. It's been a rough couple of months, as Jimmy said, after qualifying yesterday. And the Hendrick Motorsports 48 team really, really struggled. They've had a lot of unfortunate incidents over the past several races. But this week, I think they take care of business and get back on track. So I'm going to go with 6-time as the eventual winner. My next 2 drivers to watch, I'm right there with you. I like Brad Keselowski, who rolled off 9th, comes into the race with a ton of momentum, looking for the hat trick. And then last, but certainly not least, last year's winner, the Joe Gibbs Toyota, Kyle Busch, who will start on the outside of row 1. He's finished first, second, the last 3 races here. So once again, the JGR guys were pretty fast in qualifying, so expect a strong showing from them, providing they can avoid getting caught up in one of those 8 cautions that we discussed earlier. I'm going to go off the reservation a little bit this week and throw in a 4th driver that could see another top 5 finish, and that's another Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, the number 19 parlay, where it's super fast yesterday.
I'll take him as my third pick, if you will. You can donate Carl Edwards to the cause. The second-tier drivers I like. I really think Kyle Larson is going to do well this week. I also think this is a great turnaround race for Casey Kane, who's ran well here in the past, but to say that he struggled this year has been an understatement. It's also, because of those struggles, difficult to think that he's going to produce well, but he doesn't have that great of a starting spot, so it's not as risky as it's been in other races. And then my other driver, I think Greg Biffle has really turned the corner. The last 3 races, he's ran exceptionally well. He's starting farther in the back, so again, you're not taking a whole lot of risk, but I think Greg Biffle can get it turned around. And this is a track he's ran well at before in the past, too. Veteran driver, not one that I'm going to think is have a lot of problems floating the cars down into the turns. I think, if anything, when I think of Greg Biffle, I think back to the first Chase race where he got collected by Robbie Gordon, and I think Robbie collected maybe Tony Stewart or Jeremy Mayfield in that wreck, and really set a lot of people into concern about the one wreck ruining people's chases. Greg Biffle was kind of the originator of that.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, too. My mid-tier drivers, I'm going to start off with the 2012 winner, Casey Kane. He had a fast car in qualifying yesterday and starts from the 11th spot. This team's starting to show a little bit of resilience, and I think they could easily see a top 10 finish this week. But more importantly, from a fantasy perspective, I think Kane will be very low owned based on his record this year, and that's kind of what you're looking for in these DFS leagues. You want to find the guys that you think are going to finish well, but you also want to find guys that you think are going to have low ownership rates. My next driver, I think, could be in a conversation for one of the greatest drivers ever after this year. He has 3 top 5 finishes in the last 6 races here, rolls off in the 12th position, and that's Tony Stewart. It feels like he's exercised most of his off the track demons, and I expect another top 10 from him this week. They're really coming on strong. I think they're looking to close the season out pretty strong in the second half of this season. My third driver in this tier, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. He has 8 top 10 finishes this year. He finished third here in this race last year. This kid has no fear, and I expect him to be part of the conversation late in the race on Sunday. I've been high on him all year, and I'm going to take that with me into the weekend.
And the drivers I'm going to stay away from, off the radar, obviously, you can almost only stay away from Clint Boyer, but I'm going to look at Paul Menard. Really hasn't shown me a lot the last couple weeks. This is going to be a difficult track to get back on the horse. I also look at Austin Dillon in that same light. And to me, it was a toss-up because I know a lot of people are gonna not like this, but I really don't like Chase Elliott this week. It's not a good track for rookies. He qualified fairly well. This could be one of the weekends where a lot of people pick him, and it ends up turning around to cost a lot of people.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit different this week for the drivers that I don't like, and this is actually really easy for me at this track. I don't like any of the drivers that are going to be starting in 20th or 25th on back. To me, this race is a race where you need to be in the front half of the field or you're going to get caught up in the melee. These cautions typically don't happen at the front. They happen in the middle or the back of the pack. As we get later on into the season, points matter more and more. You're going to see a lot of jockeying, I think, in the middle. It's a flat track, not a lot of passing opportunities, so drivers are going to look for opportunities wherever they can find them. So I could give you 20 names here, but I'm going to say from a fantasy perspective, I'm going to avoid anybody starting 20th or worse on Sunday. There are too many affordable options in the top 20, so that's where I'm going to start with my roster.
Another driver I would elect to stay away from then to kind of give you the bone that you gave me with Carl Edwards would be A.J. Allmendinger. Regardless of what happened with his hand, whether it's broke or not, this is a G-force heavy flat track. The last thing I want out there is somebody that's not comfortable. So appreciate you guys checking this video out. We will be back next week, we promise, with more content. Thank you guys for checking this out.